Hello everybody, how are you all doing today? Another day in gorgeous Brooklyn. Just gonna get a clap in for audio sync. And we're off to the races. Get my light on. Alright. I hope everybody's having a good day. So today what I wanted to discuss is this one article I remember reading about IPOs. Right as I go to start the video, there's a really loud drilling noise. That's usually how this works. New York is filled with noises everywhere. So there was one article on IPOs and all these companies IPOing, and I'm actually kind of surprised to see people investing in some of these companies that are IPOing recently. You know, I saw DoorDash, some others. And I'm not really the best business person. You know, again, I have run a business for almost 12 years that I've barely really been able to expand upon greatly. I've never been able to attract, decent amounts of outside financing or anything. So to be clear, I'm not trying to present myself as a genius business owner or even someone who really, really understands business. But here's where the confusion comes in for me. So the whole concept behind an IPO, or an initial public offering, is that's how you take a private company public. And the idea here is that with taking a private company public is that you'll be able to make more money if you're able to get more money invested in your business. So for instance, let's say that Rossman Repair Group makes $80,000 a year in net profit, and that's with one store. Now, if I had, if we're just doing some really, really basic scaling here, again, we're not taking into account a lot of other factors. So let's say you have one store, 80,000. So if you had 100 stores, maybe you would make $8 million a year. Well, I want to make $8 million a year. I don't want to make 80,000 a year. But I don't have the money to open 100 stores, because opening 100 stores is not something I can do starting tomorrow if I only have the 80,000 in profit. So what you do is you go to the, oh my God, that is horrible driving. I don't know if you guys saw that. That B-37 bus was about to just completely destroy that black minivan looking thing that was in front of it. Anyway, it's always funny. I always looking over at these things and just seeing the way people in New York drive versus most of the rest of the country. It is just so aggressive and angry and screaming all the time, and people do all sorts of stupid shit that they wouldn't do elsewhere. Anyway, so the whole idea behind the initial public offering is I want to open 100 stores so I can make $8 million a year. I'm tired of making 80,000 a year. So I go to the public market, I sell a bunch of shares of my company. You know, maybe some of my employees or founders or co-founders or me get to have a certain amount of shares, and then I issue more shares in exchange for money. And then other people own my company, and I have the money that I need now for the company to expand. And if the company expands and does much better and actually makes that 8 million, then goes and makes 16 million, then makes 32 million, then makes 64 million, the value of everybody's shares goes up, and everybody is happier and everybody is richer. Besides the Apple Genius Bar, of course. But anyway, that's the idea. So you have a profitable business. You can show that it's profitable, but in spite of the fact that it's profitable, it is not profitable enough for you to be able to make that gigantic expansion on your own. So you need outside investment to do that expansion. Now, here's where I don't understand IPOs when it comes to a lot of the modern day companies. And this is something I covered in my video on Groupon about 7 years ago. I don't understand how this works when it comes to the modern idea of running a company where net profit is no longer something that matters. Because there's this really, really weird hipster thing that seems to have happened where people just kind of pretend that that doesn't matter. You know, like traction matters. You know, getting how many people are using your platform, even if you've set it up to the point where every user on your platform costs you money rather than makes you money. So more users means more loss. I've never liked the Groupon idea with business, which is, and not only are we going to lose money as a company, but we are also going to encourage. Looks like somebody had a unit pack power under their hood. By the way, shouts out to Unit Pack Power for lying in their reply video they did to mine, where they lie about the bridge rectifier I used, and also turned off the comments because they're so confident in the quality of their stuff that they have to turn off the comments in their videos. Anyway, so I'm not a big fan of this whole no profit thing. Because what I really didn't like about Groupon is it's one thing if you want to be a business and you want to try to obtain customers by offering services below cost so that people use you when you're new to the market. It's another when you're encouraging everybody else to lose money. And that's one of the things that Groupon and Living Social got into. If I remember to, maybe I'll include my older videos on Groupon in the comment section down below. It's a really horrible way to ruin your business using the Groupon model. I saw a lot of repair companies destroy themselves doing those stupid Groupon things, and it's bad. But what I don't get is what the point is in having an IPO or investing in a company that has that as a model. So if you take a look at a lot of the modern companies like Uber and DoorDash, I don't think DoorDash has ever really proven that they have the capability to be a profitable business, because they're in one of those situations where if they raise the price of their services, people will stop using them. And when they lower the price of their services, people use them, but then they make no money. And you already have we're already in a time where you have a lot of people calling for unionization or people calling for gig economy jobs to start receiving the benefits of normal employees. And we're talking about this with companies that are not even profitable. I'm not even going to get into whether or not, what's being asked here is fair or not. That's an argument for another day. Well, you have to go over is that a lot of these companies, they're not even profitable while they're treating the worker like shit. So how are you going to get it to be profitable when they're actually treating the worker well? But the point is that there's the whole concept of the IPO is you have a business that is highly profitable. By the way, this is a bike lane in New York City. When people say, why don't you ride in the bike lane? This is a bike lane. This is a bike lane. Like, it's impossible. You can't use the bike lane. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to ride in the lane where the cars are going in the opposite direction of you, because that's safe. That's New York City planning. Anyway, so the idea is you have a profitable company, and if you had more money, you'd be able to scale your profitable business. Now, what I don't get nowadays is you have these companies that lose money, and the bigger they get, the more they lose. So they go onto the market saying, give us money, but what's the point? What's the sell? What are you going to do with that money? Because if you say we're going to scale the business, well, you have a business that as you scale loses more money because it's not profitable. So why are people investing in these companies? I have no idea. It's very confusing. Why you would choose to invest in a company that the more it scales, the more money it loses. Now, here's what they're looking to do. Here's what I think they're looking to do. The first rounds of investors had hopes of making money, and they realized that those hopes are gone. So what they're looking to do, in my opinion, is bail themselves out and have the public shareholders now be the bag holders. So when it was a private company, the first few rounds of investors were the bag holders. Now, you, the stock purchaser, are now a bag holder. You've purchased a company that loses money. And here's the other thing. If you think this is a case of, well, they just didn't have enough money. Now that they have the investment that comes as a result of being in the stock market, now they'll be able to finally have enough money to make money. Look at companies like Uber. Look at companies like DoorDash. These are not companies that were shy for investment. This isn't fucking Rossman Repair Group with Eugene building the floor or something. This is these are companies that have had their day when it comes to investment. They've had more than enough money thrown their way. And it's not a problem of not having enough money. It's a problem of having a business model where the cost of providing the service is greater than what is being billed for the service. And if you raise the price of the service at all, people will stop using it because it's just not worth it. And I think a lot of people that wind up investing in these companies are going to be very, very disappointed. And there may be some short-term gains, but I don't think that those short-term gains have anything to do with the actual health or viability of the companies. I think those short-term gains have to be with all of the cocaine and money printing that is currently going into the stock market that's making everything go up, regardless of whether it makes sense or is a good choice. And I do wonder what's going to wind up happening with that. But I worry that if these companies actually wind up having stocks that do well, in spite of the fact that they have horribly unprofitable, unsustainable business models, that it's going to encourage more companies to do the same. And rather than the initial investor being the bag holder, it winds up being, you know, Robinhood shareholders being the bag holders. Because you have to realize this is happening at a time where you got a lot of factors. You have a lot of stuff all adding up to the perfect storm. So first you have all the Fed money printing and all the money getting tossed into the stock market. People are also afraid of inflation from all the money printing, so they're running to stuff like the stock market or Bitcoin or gold or anything other than keeping their money in cash, even if they don't want to invest in crap, just because they don't want the money to be worthless. You have the Robinhood revolution, where you have more investors now that are really uneducated on how to invest properly than I would imagine ever before. You have this encouraging of people who have low experience to be in the market when they probably shouldn't be in the market. I mean, just go to Wall Street Bets and look at how many of their screenshots are from Robinhood and their lost porn section. I don't understand those fuckers at all. I don't understand the whole concept of, let me brag about the fact that I went from $536,000 down to $1,000 in options trading. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to post it as lost porn. Maybe I'm getting old. I just don't understand that part of the culture at all. I don't understand if they're all memeing and that's all Photoshop. But I don't fucking get it. And you also have that combined with these companies that are going public, not because they want to expand a profitable business model where maybe they'll expand it properly, maybe they won't expand properly, but where it doesn't matter at all because the business model at the moment is not profitable. And here's the thing, with companies like, oh, that did not look safe at all. That did not look safe at all. With companies like, let's say, Uber, at the very least, they had that fantasy they were trying to sell people, which is once we have self-driving cars, then we'll be raking in money. But with DoorDash, I don't see it at all. At least with Uber, it was waited out. Eventually we'll have self-driving cars. They're going to get rid of all these stupid human drivers that are eating up all our profits and complaining about not having benefits and, wanting to be able to have a living wage, those fucks. We're going to get rid of all those human drivers, and then we're going to have a bunch of self-driving cars. And then we'll just be printing money like the Federal Reserve does. But that's not. I don't get it with DoorDash at all. Like, what is the long-term appeal? What is the long-term what is the sell? And with Uber, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. That doesn't even make any sense. Because when they say, okay, well, once we have self-driving cars, we won't need any of these drivers. Who paid for the car? Who deals with the car repairs? Who deals with cleaning the car when the last customer drank too much at the bar and now puked? Like, who's dealing with all of that? The driver. Who puts up the upfront cost to buy the car or lease the car and pays the car payments? The driver. All of that stuff is being dealt with right now by a driver. And once you have self-driving cars and you fire the driver, you also fire the car, which means that Uber now needs to purchase all those cars. It now needs to cover insurance on all those cars. It's now liable for what happens if that shit crashes. They're liable for the repairs. They have to take full account of all this stuff. And here's the question. Do they actually have that capital on hand? Because yes, they have a lot of money. Do they have the money right now to outright purchase a self-driving car, which, call me crazy, is probably going to cost more than your average car? Are they going to have the money to do all that? How is that going to go? I don't know. Like, it's not like it's just immediate printing money. It's actually a ridiculous, gigantic upfront investment with a lot of liability that is now transferred from Uber, the company, and the shareholders, from the drivers to the shareholders. So now they have that liability, they have that inventory that they didn't have to worry about before, that they now have to worry about. Today is a really shitty day with weather. Take a look at this. It looks horrible. By the way, would you guys swim in that water? Take a look at that water. That's the East River right there. That's the East River. You probably watched a lot of movies where they were throwing bodies in there. I remember seeing movies as a kid where they had people sleep with the fishes in that river. That's a really nice building over here. It's pretty, but I know it's going to be like $5,000 a month to live in a shoebox in there. So I look at it, I say, it's nice. Look at the deck. Yeah, that's nice, but no. I know that's going to be like $5,000 or $6,000 a month to live in that shithole. And the apartments are all going to be tiny. Typically, the nicer the lobby, the shittier the apartment. It's a general rule. Yeah. Because you're paying for that. And if you paid for all that niceness on the outside, it means you're getting pure shit on the inside. There's a cyberpunk ad up there. I don't know if you saw that. By the way, the motor that I'm using today is the motor that I was stalling before, that I worked on stream. Thank you very much to Paul for helping me out and advising me through it. It's making a lot less noise now. It runs smoother. It's really nice. This is the BBS HD that I was working on. I think I live streamed it on Christmas Eve around there for fun, and it works very well. Also, thank you very much to Echelon Cycles on Horatio Street, around Horatio and 13th. They're one of the very few places that I've ever gone to. I'm probably one of the only ones in New York City where I have a problem with my bike and I bring it, and they're knowledgeable, they're kind, they're humble, they're very reasonably priced. I'm not getting paid to say this. I actually wind up usually giving him more money than the bill that he gives me when he gives me it because it seems too cheap. But they're very reasonable. No discount to say that. Very, very nice people. You know, 'cause there's bike shops where you show up and there's just this air of attitude and aggravation, and it's so annoying. It's so annoying, and you never get that when you walk into that place. Like I didn't realize it until I walked into some other places why people are sometimes hesitant to walk into a repair shop or a repair store, but you kind of get it when you go into some of those places. Like, I forget what Steve had. I forget if it was a paintball gun or something else. He walks into a bike shop with some cash, and he's like, you know, can I pay you to use your pump to pump this up? And he's like, why would you want to pump that? Why? What is this? And they start laughing at him. And it's just like, I have a $20 bill in my hand. I'm telling you I'm willing to pay you for this. Like, why are you being a cunt? Why are you being a cunt? You could say yes or no. Just stop being an asshole. And there's so many of those hipster bike shops with that attitude. And I never get that when I walk into Echelon Cycles. Curtis is a unique guy. I really hope that his business winds up, you know, doing very well and expanding and profiting more and so on and so forth. If there's anybody that I'd want to see IPO so that they can, you know, open 100 shops instead of one, it's Echelon Cycles. They're nice people. They also found me a nice air suspension fork to replace my shitty old coil fork that came with this bike. I had a coil fork come with this, but it also got really screwed up when there was a lot of what's the word am I looking for? There was a lot of snow, and I rode on a day where they just showered a bunch of salt in the road, and I was right behind one of the trucks that's tossing all the salt and everything on the road, and it got everywhere. And like after that, my coil was all screwed up. My coil fork was already kind of screwed up at that point, but it got really screwed up after that. And he found something really nice that fit. Nice air suspension fork. It's awesome. My groin says thank you. But yeah, check that place out as a bike shop. That's one of those places, if I left New York City, I'd actually kind of be sad at. I'd have to find a new bike shop. When you get a relationship going with a good bike shop, you really don't want to have to start over. It's horrible. Speaking of horrible, look at this traffic. Thank you. She mad. They're mad because they're stuck in traffic. This is why I have the electric bike, because I wouldn't have the patience for that shit. Like, it's around 4 o'clock right now, so going over the bridge with the rush hour traffic, even with COVID, like, if she lives in the middle of Brooklyn, she ain't getting home for 45, 50 minutes. It's horrible. You know, taking 45 minutes to go 2.5 or 3 miles, it's bad. Now, God forbid she lives in, like, Midwood or Flatbush or something. Yeah, it's an hour and a half in that fucking car. That's a really unique storefront over there. It looks like stone. That's one way to do it. That's one way to have security, I imagine. Stone. Yeah, the thing I love about the bike is just the ability to go in between stuff. It's great. All right. Whew. Oh, vroom, 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 vroom. But the bike lane is, yeah, this is New York. There's no such thing as a bike lane. That's a parking spot. There's no bike lanes, only parking spots. Vroom. Let's test this motor out, shall we? Actually, let's not, because I don't want to go through that light and die. All right, we'll test this motor out after. I kind of want to see how my fixing job went, because before it was stalling constantly. Everybody said that that was a Hall sensor issue, but it wasn't a Hall sensor issue because it passed the Hall sensor test. I get why you think that. Trust, I'm not saying I don't understand why people thought that my issue with the bike was a Hall sensor issue, because it sounded like one, but it wasn't. It happened right after salt. I'm using the exact same Hall sensor right now. The Hall sensor board that's on this motor had no corrosion before. Before and after I did that, it was able to sense every Hall sensor, and it was passing a Hall sensor test. There was some rocks or some shit in there that was keeping it from turning. Someone said it was one of the 3 phase wires that got disconnected. I've had that happen before, but it wasn't disconnected because I remember I got off the bike and I checked it. The reason I know is the day that that happened was also the day that one of my pedals was came off because of all the salt water and all that shit. I knew I had to replace it for a long time, but I just didn't because I hadn't been using them on this bike. I usually, when I pedal, I was pedaling with the gray bike. So I only had one effing pedal. So I had one pedal, and the motor wasn't working right, so I had to constantly stop. So yeah, trust me, I got off and I checked my phase wires because I didn't want to, you know, walk my bike to work on it. All right, let's see what we have here. Let's test this motor. How's this motor doing? Got my mirror over here. I love my mirror. Make a left. Whoa, bus. Okay, wait, test later. Yeah, we'll test that on the next run. Stay resilient, New York. It says Essentia water. That's Crunch Jim over there. My trainer calls that gym an adult daycare. They were doing this thing for a while where they would, you would get I think a commission or something for the sessions that you got, but if you didn't sell enough of the supplements that they had at their gym, they would actually take away your commissions. So they would take away your commissions if you didn't, for selling item A, if you did not sell enough of item B. I'm not even sure that's legal. I lost a lot of respect for Crunch Gym after that, and I actually canceled my membership, and I've never gone back. I know it probably doesn't matter. Like, my money as one customer doesn't do much there, but the thing is, if everybody thinks that, then nobody will do anything, and then you never get any change. So it's like one person at a time, you know. The change you can do is better than nothing, even if you don't think it's going to be that much or that great. The change that you're able to do is going to be better than nothing, and there's nobody here, so vroom. All right, let's really test this motor. Whoa! Let's catch up to that bike. Oh yeah, this is awesome. This runs way better than before. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for helping me out. Paul was actually watching that stream and helped. No. He wanted to come in and crat. No. Nice try. Yeah, this thing's running really nice. I got Paul one of these controllers a year ago. I really hope he hooks it up to his bike. He's still using the stock BBS HD controller. That thing sucks. It sucks. It's horrible. It kills pinions. Not pinions. It kills rotors constantly. It snaps them. Even at low... I've read this online. People say you're using it wrong. You're using it at too high a gear when you start, or you're using it for pedal assist. So on a BBS HD, if you can pedal that means that you're in too high a gear for the motor to work. Because the motor is going to want to work at a point where you are, how do I say this? The motor is going to want to work at a gear way lower than where you're pedaling, because it can move much faster than you can pedal. So if you're able to pedal, you're stressing the motor. And I hear that. But I've also had that thing where I was in like gear 1, I was already moving, I put a little bit of on the throttle and it just dies. California e-bike has this interesting article where they show how they actually changed the rotor. They changed the rotor at some point. I gotta put you guys in the ground for a moment. Donate. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll pick you all back up. Is West Side Market over there? Let me put you back over here. Look at, oh man. You see this? Look at that outside dining. Yeah, my bike. Good stuff, right? See, at least this one over here is actually open, the one that's in front of me. That's at least actually open, so you can kind of make the argument that it's outside. Like, that's real outdoor dining, because it's missing a wall. This, I don't know what the hell these people are doing, but... Alright, alright. Vroom. Alright. Make my left the 23rd or 27th, depending on the lights. Man, it's freaking cold today. It is cold as... Jesus Christ. Imagine if I was in Florida right now. I could be on the beach, paying no income tax. And it would be like 70 degrees or something. I wonder what the temperature is in Fort Lauderdale right now. What would the temperature be in Fort Lauderdale right now? I bet there'd be sunlight out, there'd be sun, be a beach. I'm gonna find a way to trick everybody at the store to move to Fort Lauderdale or something. Wonder if it's possible. Maybe I'll take them on vacation and they just won't want to come back. I know Paul really hates hot weather, so I don't know if he'd be for it. Not risky. But again, that one over there is at least, like, that's a real outdoor dining. Because you got a wall, you got a ceiling, but the entire right side is open. So science there would dictate that the COVID has a place to run away. So that can somewhat be called outdoor dining. I still don't understand how the fuck this is even worth it. Like, again, maybe I'm not, as I said in the beginning, maybe I'm not the best business owner. You have to pay someone to build the structure. You're going to have way less than your normal customer base. 'Cause you have to think about it. If it's 25 or 29 degrees outside, and you are not allowing people to eat indoors in the heat, are you going to have more customers or less customers? Probably less. So you're already operating on really razor-thin margins in New York City. There's razor-thin margins. Now you can't let people sit inside. You got to pay to put together this piece of shit structure, maintain it, because, you know, it's New York City. People are going to be trying to knock that shit down just for fun every day. You can't put something outside and expect it to be there a day or two later. So how the hell does this work? I mean, just from a profitability standpoint, I don't understand how they're making any money. I think if you just closed, didn't pay your rent, didn't pay your staff, and just said, mea culpa, I give up, I can't have a restaurant, but you also, you know, you weren't making money, but you weren't giving away money, that you'd actually be better off than paying your rent, paying your staff, and paying your suppliers and everybody else, and making, you know, the money from the 15 customers you get a day that are willing to eat out in 27-degree weather. Or perhaps it's different. Maybe there's a lot more people than I think who are willing to sit outside, take their gloves off, and eat in this freaking freezing, miserable weather. I don't know. It's weird because I have mirrors, but I still find myself looking behind all the time because I don't trust them. Damn, I didn't know trucks would go through red lights. Oh wait, this is a broken light. That's not a red light. I thought that was a red light. That's a broken light. Alright, there we go. Whew. My God, it's cold. This is horrible. So I want to go to Fort Lauderdale. I just got to find 2 or 3 people that know how to do data recovery. Got to find 4 or 5 people who can fix a motherboard. 1 or 2 people that can deal with asshole customers. And, you know, when people show up to try to, the techs are uncomfortable talking to. And then we can be in the warm. I'm going to try to have a company vacation at some point, I think. I'm going to try to see if I can get everybody here to consider going someplace warmer. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, see you all in the next video. Bye now.